Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ladies Tale podcast. Oh my goodness, it's been so long since we've done the Ladies Tale podcast. It feels so special because if it's Ladies Tale podcast, that means we have someone that's in show business, and I love that. I'm like, I feel so special. I feel so special. I don't know why I'm still singing. I'm sorry, y'all. This has been like the first podcast in a month, so I'm gonna feel special if it was like, I don't know, dirt. I'd be like, yes, I feel so special. Anyway, I'm Winona, and I remember to introduce myself. So high five to me, yes, because that's semi-professional. So like in this month, I learned professionalism. But anyway, we wrote books. And when I say we, there's normally a Jade that's here, but she's not here right now. But we wrote books, and they are, and I thought divorce was bad, and I thought being grown up was easy. If only I were me, a memoir in verse, foreign coffee, Widow's Web, and Widow's Debt. And you can get those books wherever you get audio books. And now, this is the section where we do a little bit of that, like, let's learn together, people, where I'm going to do one-handed sign language because one hand is holding the phone. And so it's one-handed sign language. So we have 6 books, add 11 books, and that equals 17 books. Yes, y'all. So Jade and I wrote 17 books. You can find them at www.andithoughladies.com. I think that's the end of my introduction, and I do not feel like doing it again with enthusiasm and wonderful pep. Yeah, no. After a month off, you're like, pep? Pep is for people who work. No. But you're not here to hear about me anymore because I'm not doing a great job today. You're here to hear about our wonderful guests. Wonderful guests, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jen Rotner. I'm Vice President of Development at Original Productions, and I've been working in TV for as long as I can remember, since I wanted to do TV since I was in high school, and I started PAing a couple sets in high school, and I'm one of the rare people who actually went to school for this, so.
Okay, I have like 3 questions, but then you said, actually went to school for this. I'm not gonna lie. I have interviewed a lot of people in TV. Not often do I hear that people went to school for this unless they're an actor. So what did you go to school for?
So I actually went to film school at UNLV in Las Vegas, and somehow I graduated, which is a miracle. I did not sleep a lot back then. But I just always wanted to be in television in particular. And when I was a kid, I would write scripts and I would write stories, and I would actually go to school and make my friends and my teachers act out the characters. And we had this amazing teacher, science teacher, that would actually let us sign our tests and our character names. So I was definitely like one of those crazy artistic children. And I went to film school and got very into like the documentary side of things and the kind of premium film and scripted side of things, and moved out to LA originally to be in the camera department, to be a female camera assist. And I was on set lifting the camera and loading film magazines because we used film back then. Not telling you how old I am, but you can probably guess. And yeah, it was interesting. I did that, got really lucky on a couple of shoots and kind of fell into unscripted TV and documentary. But I loved it. And I've been doing it for over 15 years now.
Okay. So yeah. Unscripted TV, when you were growing up, were you like, unscripted is where I want to be?
No. I love watching scripted TV. I love writing scripts. I actually love being on set on a scripted show. It's really fun. But I love producing unscripted TV. The actual work and the creativity that you get to have when you're doing what we would call factual entertainment is a lot, it's harder, and you get to be more hands-on. Whereas when you're producing something in the scripted side, you're almost like you're pulling all the creative people together in a room, but as the producer, you're not actually getting to be as creative or as hands-on, right? Because you're working with a script that's already been written. You have actors that have already been attached to the project. Your director is really your visionary. And as a producer, you're kind of just there in case shit hits the fan. And if you've done your job right, hopefully it doesn't, and hopefully you have nothing to do by the time you're actually filming. And I just loved the speed and the urgency of unscripted and being in the field and working with people who are not trained to be on camera. And it's very challenging.
Okay, so I'm gonna be a little bit of a narcissist here. I'm doing my narcissist question early. Have you ever thought about doing unscripted TV with, I don't know, adorable African American poets?
I mean, I'm open
See,
to
that's not
anything.
me today. Because I mean, look at the camera. So I'm not it.
Listen, I'm always open to pitches. So if you have a great idea,
Oh, which reminds me, first I should go with what does a developmental executive do?
It's so funny. My entire family asks me this same question daily sometimes. It's a two-part thing. It's half creative and it's half sales. So the creative side is actually creating like thinking of a show from scratch sometimes, or sometimes it's somebody like yourself who's lovely, who comes in and has its talent, or they have a book, or they have access to a world or tapes or an archive that we haven't seen. Or it's just simply us sitting in a room together going, what would be a cool show? How do we, what would it work? What's working on TV right now? And, what can we get to rate? And it's literally the ideation and sitting in a room and putting that together. And then it's also the other side of it is creating sales materials, which is what we call a deck and a sizzle, or a pitch deck and a sizzle. Generally, we're doing that in like a keynote. That's what we use, but you can use, a keynote or pages or a PowerPoint. But it's a visual document that really kind of lays out to someone, if they just skim through it, like how you view the show to look or what you want it to look like. And then our trailers, our sizzles are like a trailer or a promo. But it's a little bit more descriptive. So it's what you typically see for announcing like a new show or a new movie, but it's going to also explain the structure of the show in elements, because you're creating something new, so that someone can kind of visualize it and kind of see what you're thinking. And the second half is we take those materials once they're done and we go out into the marketplace and we meet with buyers, and we sell. And we try to convince them why our show is the best show in the world and why they should buy it. And hopefully they do. A lot of times they do. A lot of times they don't. You get a lot of no's. You get really used to hearing no.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I knew what a development person did, but I wanted to set it up for my next question, because I said over the month I learned professionalism. But I have never really thought about how many no's you guys get. I just assume you show up and then they're like, yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, this year in particular has been a really tough buyer's market with all the mergers and all the internal things going on. It's been really tough. We did launch, we're in the premium documentary space as well. So we did just launch this amazing documentary feature film that launched at Hamptons International Film Festival called A Radical Life. You have to see it. It's with the incredible filmmaker Ricky Stern. It was, very female driven. And it's a really amazing, powerful film about a young woman who gets drawn into ISIS at a young age and then escapes it and gets out. And so it's a very different perspective on the rise and fall of ISIS and on 9/11, and super, super powerful, very serious film. We had a few other things in the premium space launch this year, but yeah, we also had a lot of no's this year.
Oh my goodness. It just hurts my heart to hear you get a lot of no's.
It's hard. It's, you fall in love with like every project you do is like your baby, and you fall in love with it. And the thing is there's so many great ideas out there, not just our ideas. I mean, our ideas are awesome and original, but everywhere. There's so many great ideas across all the different companies and creators, and there's only so much real estate on air, right? And so a lot of good ideas never make it all the way through.
Okay. So that brings me to a question that I wasn't going to ask, but now now that I've started, I'm definitely asking. Developmental executives, developmental Hades. How do you make it through developmental Hades?
So just in like getting through
For a show, because I always hear that, like, you get a yes and then you're in development and you're just in development.
So we generally try to push we're very strategic about how we pitch when we take things out. We do a lot of development on the front side, I would say, more so than what most people do. So like when we're going into a pitch, we sometimes have like a 12 to 15 page deck that lays out the show very detailed. Sometimes we go with casting. Sometimes we go in, we put a little bit behind it up front. And the thought is that helps us get through it quicker and like pushes us to like a better step deal earlier. But yeah, it's the toughest part is that transition period where you can't hand a project off to the current team yet, but you still have to come up with new ideas and try to sell them. But you're also trying to foster and raise this like little toddler idea and get it out the door. And it's, usually pretty hands-on and intense and on deadline with the network, right? So sometimes we bring in outside help. Sometimes we just don't sleep for a few weeks.
Sounds like authors. Right?
I was gonna say it sounds like authors. Thank you, Jade. It definitely sounds like authors. I was like, sometimes we just don't sleep.
Right. You get out there and you don't know, and you had like 85 no's, and you have this yes, and now
things have to work. So now it brings me to the part of the question, the part of the show that everyone wants to know, which is what do you look for in a good pitch when someone comes to you to pitch?
Yeah. For us, and I would say that every company is going to have a different answer to this, probably, because everyone has a different brand that they're promoting and working under. For us, it's big characters, worlds that you haven't seen, or worlds that you haven't seen through this lens that someone's bringing. It's IP and access. So, we do a lot of access driven projects. We have a project where we had access to a tape archive that no one's ever seen before. It's never aired before. That we got a project sold based on the archive. So, if somebody comes in the door with something like that, it's immediately going to draw our attention. If it's just a really unique format that we haven't seen before, we're going to pay attention to that. It's also the passion for the person bringing it into the room. We also have a project that on paper, I probably never would have moved forward with. But when the gentleman who pitched it came in, he had so much passion and this vision for what he wanted to do. And it's going to be a really tough sell, but we went with it and we're working with them and we're going to take it out. And it might go and it might not go, but he was so passionate about it that it drew us in.
I always hear it's the passion in the room, and then like something like
I think I'm listening to you.
I have passion for books. I can't imagine like the passion to pitch a show.
Well, people are gonna want to know if they're an author, what are the steps they need to do to get it into your hands?
Yep.
Yeah, so
let's see, let's put this in the chat. So you guys, since I'm in the car, I'm having trouble. So I'm gonna put this in the chat.
I know it's freezing. It's freezing.
What advice do you have for anyone that wants to be?
Okay, so the first advice I will give is advice that was given to me by my mentor when I was in film school. And it essentially boils down to this. He said to me, it's not about swimming pools and sunglasses. And what he meant was there are very few Steven Spielbergs in the world. Or I should say, there are a lot of Steven Spielbergs in the world. Very few break out and are lucky the way he was, right? And what he meant is you have to love the work, because it's a lot of work and it is insane and it is crazy hours, and you work really, really hard. I was recently up shooting a sizzle tape and I was waist deep in snow and negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And it sounds insane, and people who know me think it's insane, but I loved every minute of it. I love it, and if you don't love the 15-hour day, days on set and the long nights brainstorming with your team, and you don't actually love the designing and the writing, it's hard. And the payout, you can be super successful, you can make money. It does move quicker than the scripted side, but it is a lot of work. And you really got to love the work. And if you do, and you dive in and you work hard at it and you stay, then you will be successful. And the people who aren't are usually the people who burn out and the people who leave, but it is, it's not easy. It's not an easy life. You sacrifice a lot.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So my quick question is, how do you find a story in unscripted? Like, because I know you have to do a lot of taping. And then how do you find the story that is going to sell?
Yeah, you know what? It's a crazy formula, and there's a whole bunch of different things that feed into that. We have weekly meetings with our partners at CAA, who are fantastic, and we talk market intel, we talk strategy, we talk about projects that we have in the pipeline and how they fit into the market. We talk about potential attachments and packaging. So that's one side of it. We have weekly development meetings where we bring new projects to the table, and we do everything together as a team. So we talk about everything as a team. If someone has an idea, it's a team idea, and we work it out and try to, we pick at it and say, hey, we like this idea, but is it sellable? What is it that makes it stand out against everything else that's on air right now? Why, what is it that we can be passionate about when we pitch it in the room? What makes it undeniable? We talked about that a lot. Like, what makes it undeniable? What's our unique selling position that we're taking that, makes it feel fresh and different in the marketplace? And then it's also looking at budgets that the marketplace actually has. It's looking at what's rating well for them currently, what hasn't rated well for them in the past. What is their brand? What is our brand? And is this a show that we want to make or that we should be making? Or, we talk a lot about DEI and, responsibility as filmmakers. There is power in film, and there is power on TV. And so we talk a lot about the responsibility of knowing like what we're putting on air and what conversations we're having, and are they the conversations we want to be having, right? So there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Okay, so I'm assuming I'm still not frozen. So where can people find out more information about you, and if they wanted to, and the documentaries, and if they wanted to pitch a show to Original Productions, how would they do that?
So you can go to our website it's Original Productions. I think it's originalproductions.com. But you can, if you look up Original Productions, you'll find it. There is actually an email link on the website, and I can also send it to you guys so that you have it, you can go on and submit things through that. And then what you would do is we would send you a submission release. It's like a general one-page release. You would fill it out, and then we would review it as a team. And if it's something that we wanted to move forward on, we'd reach out and set a meeting and start talking about it.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. I have thoroughly appreciated it. It's so funny because I really wanted a scripted production thing, but I always end up talking to people in unscripted, and I have the most fun with y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Well, you can find out everything that your ladies are up to at www.andithoughtLadies.com, and down at the in the middle of the page, you can see the 3 charities that we proudly support. We ask that you take a little time out and support them as well, and we thank you in advance for that. So. Oh, just remember, y'all, that you can find wisdom all around you. Oh, my goodness, Jay.
Just remember, y'all, wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. You see what happens when I try to take Jay's job? So peace and love, you guys, from Winona and the Missing Jade. Bye-bye.